Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're switching gears a bit. We're diving into something really critical, honestly, potentially life-saving information.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking at feline poisons.
Exactly. We're going deep into the source materials on some really potent and sometimes surprisingly common toxins that cats can encounter. Our mission today, fast knowledge extraction.
Get right to the point. Yes, we're focusing on three big ones:
Mhm.
sodium fluoroacetate, arsenic, and metaldehyde. We need to pull out exactly, where they come from, the unique signs they cause, and the absolute first things you need to do. And getting that information out quickly is key. With these kinds of poisons, literally minutes matter. It can be the difference between, well, a good outcome and a very bad one.
And the sources we're using, they cover quite a range, right? From really restricted stuff to things hiding in plain sight.
Absolutely. We've got info on things like restricted commercial poisons, but also substances you might find in an old shed or garden products, even, believe it or not, camping fuel.
Wow.
Yeah, so understanding how a cat might even get exposed is often the first step to figuring things out fast. Okay, let's jump in. First up, sodium fluoroacetate. I think we called this one the sneaky killer in our notes. Also known as compound 1080 or 1081, that's the one. And sneaky is a good word for it. It's incredibly potent. Technically a rodenticide used for rats, gophers.
But its use is limited now, isn't it?
Oh, heavily. In the U.S., only licensed pest control operators should be handling it. Usually it's mixed into like cereal or bran as bait.
So, less common now, but maybe not gone.
Exactly. Regulations have cut down its use, but the sources warn, you could still stumble across old batches. Think old barns, forgotten outbuildings, that sort of place.
Okay, and here's the part that really stood out to me, the truly sneaky part. This is critical for listeners. Cats don't even have to eat the bait itself, right?
That's the crucial danger. It's called secondary poisoning. A cat or dog can get fatally poisoned just by eating a rodent, say a mouse or gopher, that ate the compound 1080 bait first.
How does that even work? The poison is still that strong.
Yes, it's highly toxic and it bioaccumulates. It messes with the Krebs cycle, basically, how cells make energy. So the rodent eats it, its cells start shutting down, but there's still enough active poison in its tissues to be lethal to the cat that eats it.
It just shuts down the body's energy production.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
especially in high energy systems like the brain and heart. It happens fast, which explains why the symptoms hit so hard and fast, the sources say. Sudden vomiting, then agitation, staggering,
Yeah.
difficulty urinating or defecating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neurological signs really ramp up quickly. You'll see these atypical fits or sometimes full-blown convulsions. It often leads to collapse fairly rapidly.
Okay, but here's a key clinical point you highlighted. These seizures are different somehow.
They are, and this is a really important distinction, especially compared to something like strychnine poisoning. These seizures, the ones from fluoroacetate, they are not triggered by outside things.
Not triggered by external stimuli. Okay, what does that mean practically? If I'm seeing a cat having a seizure, how do I know if it's externally triggered or not?
It means the seizure is purely from the internal chemical chaos the poison is causing. You could put the cat in a quiet, dark room, no touching, no loud noises, and the convulsions would continue or start on their own.
Okay.
With strychnine, for instance, a loud clap or touching the cat, or even a bright light can set off or worsen the seizure. That's an external trigger. Fluoroacetate doesn't work like that. The reaction is purely internal.
So if you see those kinds of internally driven seizures after potential exposure, fluoroacetate is high on the suspicion list.
Definitely.
And treatment, speed is critical. Induced vomiting is step one.
Yes, induce vomiting if the cat is conscious and stable enough to swallow safely. But honestly, with these severe neurological signs, you're looking at immediate transport to a vet.
Right. It's not just bad emptying the stomach.
Not at all. They need intensive care. Managing the convulsions often requires heavy sedation, maybe specific anticonvulsant drugs,
Mhm.
and all that muscle activity during seizures. It generates a ton of heat.
Hypothermia.
Exactly. So controlling their body temperature, preventing severe dehydration with IV fluids, these are absolutely critical next steps. It's serious supportive care.
Okay, that definitely escalates the plan. Let's move to the second one. Arsenic, the wide-ranging toxin. You mentioned its use is declining, but it's still persistent. It really is. It pops up in weird places. Yes, less common in, say, modern pesticides, but it was historically used in so many things. Ant poisons, weed killers, wood preservatives, even some older insecticides.
And slug baits too.
Yeah, sometimes combined with metaldehyde, which we'll get to. Plus, it can just be an impurity in other chemicals. So even though we use less arsenic intentionally, it's still around in the environment and in older products.
So if its use is down, why is it still such a concern? Is it just the old stuff lingering?
That's a big part of it, yeah. Old treated wood, leftover baits. Plus, arsenic poisoning can go one of two ways. Sometimes, if a cat ingests a huge amount, death can be so rapid you might not even see clear symptoms.
But if it's a more drawn out case, the signs are pretty dramatic and they often start in the gut.
Okay, what are we looking for there?
Intense thirst is a big one. Lots of drooling. Severe abdominal pain, you might see cramping. Vomiting, really bad diarrhea, leading quickly to weakness, staggering, and eventually paralysis. It's rough.
Sounds truly awful.
It is. Arsenic basically attacks the lining of the stomach and intestines. But here's the absolute key takeaway, the thing for listeners to lock onto if they suspect arsenic.
Okay.
The cat's breath. It will often have a strong, very specific smell of garlic.
Garlic breath. Seriously, that's incredibly specific.
It's a classic sign. It comes from the body trying and failing to metabolize and get rid of the arsenic. If you smell that garlic odor, arsenic jumps way up the list.
That's a massive clue. So if you smell garlic, what's the next step? Treatment must be different from fluoroacetate.
Totally different ballgame. Inducing vomiting is still often the first step, again, if safe. But then it's straight to, ideally, a veterinary critical care or emergency hospital. No delays.
Why the need for such specialized care?
Two main reasons. First, aggressive 5E fluids are essential. Arsenic is a heavy metal, it's filtered out by the kidneys, and it can destroy them. You need to flush the system hard and fast to try and protect those kidneys.
Okay, flush the kidneys. What's the second reason?
To actually counteract the poison itself, you need something called a chelating agent.
A chelating agent. Sounds complex. What does it do?
Think of it like a chemical claw or a magnet. It's a drug designed to grab onto the arsenic molecules circulating in the body. It binds them up, neutralizes them basically, making them safer for the kidneys to handle and excrete.
Okay, so it traps the arsenic.
Exactly. Dimercaprol is one agent sometimes used, though it can have side effects itself. But the sources specifically mention another one, British anti-leucite, or BL, as a very effective antidote for arsenic poisoning.
BL. Okay, so knowing that if you suspect arsenic, especially with that garlic smell, telling the vet before you arrive could be crucial.
Absolutely crucial. You call ahead, say, I suspect arsenic poisoning, my cat's breath smells like garlic. That gives them time to potentially prepare the BAL, or other chelators, which might not be something every clinic keeps on hand constantly. Saving those minutes matters. Incredible. Okay, third agent, metaldehyde. This one you flagged as the common household threat. Why is it so common? Gardens mostly. It's the active ingredient in a lot of slug and snail baits. And the problem is, these often come as little pellets.
Right, they can look like kibble or fertilizer.
Exactly. Really appealing, unfortunately, to pets. And, like we mentioned, sometimes older formulas might mix it with arsenic.
And that was another surprising source, too.
Yeah, this one catches people out. It can be a component in those solid fuel tablets, the kind you use for camping stoves or emergency heaters.
Wow, okay. Definitely not something you'd normally think of as poisonous.
Not at all. And once a cat eats it, the signs come on fast. Usually within a few hours.
What kind of signs? Similar to the others.
Some overlap, especially the neurological stuff. You see excitation at first, then heavy drooling or slobbering, a really uncoordinated wobbly walk. Then come muscle tremors, like constant rapid shaking weakness, and often they just can't stand up anymore.
Okay, tremors. Are these like the fluoroacetate seizures also not triggered externally?
Correct. The sources emphasize that again. These tremors are internal. The cat isn't shaking because you touched it or because of noise. It's the toxin directly affecting the central nervous system. It's an internal chemical storm, much like with the fluoroacetate.
So, inducing vomiting again, quick vet visit. Yes, immediate action is the same. Induce vomiting if possible and safe, then straight to the vet. They'll need to manage those tremors, often with sedation, because just like with severe seizures, nonstop muscle tremors can cause dangerous overheating, the hyperthermia we talked about.
Right, controlling the body temperature is key.
Absolutely. But metaldehyde has another nasty trick up its sleeve. It's not just about the immediate tremors.
Oh, well, the metaldehyde itself causes problems, but the way the body breaks it down, or metabolizes it, creates another toxic substance called acetaldehyde.
Acetaldehyde, okay.
And this substance, the acetaldehyde, is really, really damaging to the liver. It's hepatotoxic.
So, even if you control the initial tremors, there's a delayed danger.
Precisely. This is the latent threat of metaldehyde. You can get the cat through the initial crisis, the tremors might stop, they might seem better, but then, days later, sudden catastrophic liver failure can occur. And that can be fatal.
That is terrifying. Days later. So, monitoring has to continue long after they seem stable.
Absolutely. Liver support, blood tests to check liver function.
Yeah.
It's essential. You can't assume they're out of the woods just because the shaking stopped.
Okay, let's try and synthesize this. 3 potent poisons: fluoroacetate, arsenic, metaldehyde. The common thread seems to be speed is vital. Inducing vomiting is almost always the first step, if possible.
Right. Get it out if you can safely. But then you need to help the vet narrow it down. So those key differentiators again. Sodium fluoroacetate, think secondary poisoning from rodents, and those seizures that aren't set off by noise or touch.
Yep.
Cellular energy failure. Arsenic, think widespread sources. Severe gut signs, but that key diagnostic clue, the garlic breath, needs specific treatment, like BAL.
Got it. And metaldehyde, super common in slug baits and even camp fuel, causes tremors, also not externally triggered, but carries that hidden, delayed risk of liver failure days later.
Exactly. Acetaldehyde is the culprit there for the liver. Knowing these differences, the rodent risk, the garlic smell, the delayed liver threat, that's the information that helps the vet tailor the treatment effectively and quickly.
It moves it from just, my cat is sick, to, I suspect this specific poison, which could make all the difference.
It really could. And think about metaldehyde, specifically that delayed liver failure aspect.
Yeah.
It brings up a broader point, really.
What's that?
Well, it makes you think, doesn't it? When you're dealing with any suspected poisoning, even if the immediate signs are neurological, the seizures, the tremors, how much focus also needs to be on potential long-term damage. You know, organs like the liver or the kidneys, even after the initial crisis seems over.
That's a really important question. Balancing the immediate rescue with monitoring for that silent systemic damage later on.
Exactly. It's about ensuring a full recovery, not just surviving the first few hours. It underscores the need for ongoing vigilance and care.
A critical point to end on. Prevention is key, but knowing these signs and acting fast with the right information is the next best thing. Thank you for walking us through this really vital information.
My pleasure. Hopefully it helps someone out there.